So welcome back. We are looking at chapters 3 and 4, quarterly based standards test. The first question talks about quadratic functions. They give us a vertex and another coordinate point. So I wrote down my formula. Negative b over 2a is going to help me find the vertex. All I need to do is take each of my equations, label them a, b, and c, and then take my b and my a to substitute. So when I do that, on this side, I do get negative b, which is negative 8, divided by 2a, so 2 times negative 1. That's 8 divided by 2, which is 4. When I substitute my x value, this 4, into the equation, it's going to be negative 4 squared plus 8 times 4 minus 19, which gives me negative 3. So all of that works out. The only thing I need to make sure of is that it passes through the point 6, 1. So again, if I put 6 in here, I get 36 and 48 and then minus 19. Hopefully that equals 1. Just thinking about it real quick, 36, 48, and 19, it's not going to go down to 1 for me. So I can't choose A. Get some more practice on B. And for letter B, it says x squared, negative 12x, and 37. So this is A, B, and C. The opposite of B, negative b over 2a, is my vertex formula. So I'm going to do the opposite of negative 12, which is positive 12, divided by 2a. 12 divided by 2 is 6. The x-coordinate of my vertex for this equation will be 6. When I look up here, they tell me that it's 4, so I know that it also can't be b. Part C, again, we're going to start with our negative b over 2a vertex formula. And once we finish substituting into the formula, it's going to say negative 8, which will turn positive, and then we divide it by 2a. Just like in part A, this will give us a negative 4 for our x-coordinate. And now we can substitute it. So I get to take my y equals, and then we'll have 4 squared minus 8 times 4 plus 13. And we'll substitute in. So we substitute in 4 squared minus 8 times 4, so that's minus 32, and then plus 13, and we get out negative 3. So we have positive 4 and negative 3 as our vertex, and that's exactly what we should have here. The next thing that we need to test is the coordinate point 6, 1, just to make sure. So y is 1 when x is 6. Let's make sure that this works out for us. Okay, we've got 6 squared minus 48, and then plus 13. That gives us a value of 1, so we know that that coordinate point is true. When x is 6, y will be 1, and that makes C our final answer for this one. Let's look at number 2. They're talking specifically about parabolas with foci and a vertex at 0, 0. So my number one strategy for something like this is to turn to a graph real quick and say my focus is up here when x is 5, y is 0, and then it also has a vertex here at 0, 0. This is my focus, this will be my vertex, and if this distance here is 5, then the distance on the other side to the directrix will also be 5 units. So this will be x equals negative 5. On this one, we need to remember that our normal equation is y equals 1 over 4p x squared. And now what we're going to have is a parabola that's on its side. When it gets turned on its side like this, this was our original parent function in the dotted line. When it gets turned from right up to sideways, that means that what we need to do is switch the x and the y's. And we're going to talk about inverse function later, but for now, we know that instead of the equation looking like this, it will need to have the x and the y switch. So let's write out the template for this sideways parabola. We're going to have so again, guys, because we have our function already ready to go, the inverse is where we just switch the x and the y's. So I'm going to say x equals 1 over 4p times y squared. From here, I need to be really careful because when I look at my answer options, I have y squared, x squared, y squared, x squared, but my template isn't set up in that way yet. Like, I would need to solve it out for either x squared in this case or either y squared in this case. So something's going to happen here with my fraction. The p is the distance between the focus and the vertex, so I'm going to substitute in 5 for my p variable. X equals 1 over 4 times 5, then y squared. 1 over 4 times 5 is just 1 over 20. And here's where that fraction comes in, because now I'm solved out, but I don't have the right variable on the left-hand side. Over here it says x, but they're looking for x squared. The other option, of course, is to get it to y squared. So to be able to solve this out for y squared, I need to multiply y squared by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1 over 20 is 20 over 1. And if I multiply one side by that, to keep my equation in balance, I'll need to multiply it on the other side. 20 on the numerator and 20 on the denominator mean that I'm dividing 20 divided by 20, which is 1, and 1 divided by 1, which is also 1. So the only thing I'm left with on this side is 1y squared. On the other side, I have 20 on the numerator and x in the numerator. So 20 times x is 20x, and 1 is in the denominator. My answer should be y squared equals 20x. When I look down at my answer options, I'm looking at answer option F. Next up is number 3. So number 3 is relatively straightforward. I'm looking at a parabola in my graph that is opening to the negative. All of my arrows down here are pointing to the negative. So my equation will need to start that way. I have a positive 2 here and a positive 2 here, and this guarantees that those are not my answers. Now let's take a look at the vertex. The vertex of the parabola is at -4, positive 5. Remember that when you're working inside of a grouping, this -4 in the x position will have to switch its sign to a positive 4. And so we're looking at this answer option right here. The y value of 5 goes right here. With your equation mapped, you can clearly see D is your answer choice, and you're ready for the next one. So question 4 is asking us to solve the system of equations, and hopefully by solving the system of equations, we're going to get to the A, B, and C of our quadratic. Remember that we're just looking for y equals a x squared plus bx plus c. So we need to figure out a, b, and c, those actual numbers. Let's take a look at our first two equations to see if we can solve that system. The first thing you're looking at is a plus b plus 2 equals 46. I'm going to subtract the 2, and I get that a plus b equals 44. I also have 4a plus 2b plus 2 is 58. When I subtract the 2 there, I get that 4a plus 2b equals 56. I can see that all of these numbers can be divided by 2. I'm going to reduce those terms early. 2a plus b equals, and then 56 divided by 2 is 28. So these two equations I'm going to work with to solve out for my first system. What I can do here, either one will work, but I can subtract a b. I can say that a equals 44 minus b. Okay. Now I know what a is. A is just 44 minus b. So 2 times 44 minus b plus b equals 28. Now, everywhere I saw an A in this equation, I substituted in my 44 minus B, and I continued on with the equation. Now that I've substituted, I can distribute to get 88 minus 2B plus B is 28, and solve out for B. And I've moved my variables where they need to go. 88 minus 28 is just 60, and then B. So now I know that B, the number B, is 60. I'm going to take that information and substitute this in for some of my other equations to figure out what B would be, or what A would be. If B is 60, I'm going to go to my original equation here, where it says A plus B plus 2 equals 46. Again, I know that B equals 60 now, so I can scratch that out, and I can just put 60. So this says A plus 60 plus 2 equals 46. A plus 60 plus 2 equals 46. Now I'm going to continue solving out for A, which is just going to be 44 minus 60. So A equals negative 16. Now I know two letters. I need to figure out my third letter. I know that A is negative 16, B is 60. So let's look for what will help me find C now. So I'm going to look at option number 3. We're going to assume that 1 and 2 work because we were able to solve out for A and B. I go to number 3 and I see that it says 16A plus 4B plus 2 equals 58. So I can type in my calculator. 16. Remember, A was negative 16 plus 4. B was 60. And then plus 2. Altogether, this should equal 58 if part 3 is true. And we get negative 14. So I'm going to put a little question mark by part 3 because it did not work out for me. Option 4. Down here says 9A plus 3B plus 2 equals 38. So let's see if this is true. Again, my A is negative 16, so I'm going to multiply 9 times negative 16. Add that to 3 times my B was 60. And then I need to add 2. Hopefully, if we did this right, this will come out to be 38. And we can see that that works out perfectly for us there. So yes. 3 did not work out for us. 1 and 2 did, and so did 4. So our final answer should be 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4 is option H. All right. That ends the first page of chapter 3 and 4, and I'll see you on the next page.